to WCS America Day 2 action over here, Premier League. Yesterday we kicked off the season and today we just continue with some awesome games. We just saw a TVT series between Bomber and Massa, which was cool. Now we're going to jump into Crank versus NesTea. Nate, there is a lot to talk about when you look at Crank's performance, especially within WCS.
Yeah, I mean, he's made round of 16 the last 3 seasons. Hasn't been able to get too much farther than that, but this is another one of those opportunities for him to try to get further. And, you know, round of 16 is not a bad result by any means. There's a lot of prize money to be won just by getting out of this initial group stage.
Yeah, it's even the last 4 seasons, because in season 1 he made it to the round of 8, so he also went through the round of 16. Basically he is the most. I don't think there's anyone in WCS. I didn't double check this, but I really don't think there is any other player that made it into the round of 16 like all 4 seasons. Maybe it was Polt, because I think in yeah, Polt is probably the one. Polt is as well. Either way, super impressive performance, consistency, I should say, by Crank. And then we have NesTea, of course, once upon a time, you know, the greatest Zerg in the world, a multiple time, even a 3-time GSL champion. Last time I said he won 2 GSLs, and there was one NesTea fan out there who was really mad. He's like, NesTea won 3 GSLs, Roddy. I was like, NesTea, I'm sorry.
he's got a lot of fans to go along with that that nickname, creator of the universe, of course. And I think I was actually talking to Hyun about making sure his setup was okay. I think he's actually playing from Germany. So if we talk about any delays, I think he's at the GEM house.
NesTea?
Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't heard about that. It's interesting. Either way, both our players are ready, so we are ready as well. And guys, we're back to normal. The first map is going to be played on Frost. You know, if you look at this group, Nate, and you know that Crank pretty much always makes it out of the group, then this is going to be a really important series already.
If he wants to continue being one of the most consistent players, this is where it begins. And you know what better map to begin such a series on but Frost, as well, it's Frost, man.
Yeah, well, there's nothing else we can say about Frost. Crank, he looked pretty good in the last season. It was really fun as well, because I think Crank was the last Axiom player to play in WCS America Season 1 Premier League round of 32. And then all of his teammates were making it to the round of 16. And he was like, oh, my teammates are putting so much pressure on me. Now I have to make it as well. But then he did it. It's been a while since Crank had one of those runs that... what's going on over here? What? I've never seen that. These probes had a little crazy dance. You know, this is small things, but they might actually get into your head. It's like, oh my God.
That was awkward.
I'm playing so bad today. Everything's going wrong. If this was me right now, Nate, and I would be on tilt in a later game, I'd leave.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd be like, GG, and then the guy would cue me, and I was like, it's ready.
You look at the replay, you're like, why did the guy leave so early?
And then you're like, lol, that's funny. Either way, over here in the left top side of the map, we have one of the most consistent performances in WCS America. He has never gone further than the quarterfinals, though. Is this his season? It could very well be. Representing Axiom, he is Crank.
And his opponent, spawning in the bottom right side, we got a cross spawn affair here on Frost. Our Zerg, it is NesTea.
I give NesTea a zoom as well. Yeah. Otherwise it's so silent. It's just like, it's just NesTea, it's nothing else. There's no zoom.
Yeah.
There's no hype.
Well,
You know, NesTea was actually on the verge of being eliminated in Challenger League as well earlier this season. He was down 2-0 against the Australian Terran player representing Ro32, but in the end, NesTea was able to bring it back in probably the longest best of 5 that I've casted in a while. As one game, I think the game that NesTea was losing, he was like running around with 2 Mutalisk and 8 drones against like 12 stimmed Marines, and the Mr. Turret is like, NesTea, you're not going to win this. But NesTea didn't want to accept. He's like, I believe. In the end, nothing happened. Either way, I'm really looking forward to casting NesTea. He has let me down a few times as well, and that pains me to say it, because he is one of the greatest Zergs to ever play this game. If you just look at his track record, it speaks for itself. But there have been a few disappointing performances by NesTea as well. But I'm super curious what he brings out today. It would be definitely a fairy tale story to see NesTea go far, maybe even go all the way. Like that, that would definitely bring in sick hype.
I think that's one of the things a lot of people hold out for. So you have the Titans of yore, right, of StarCraft 2, the big hitters in Wings of Liberty, NesTea, MVP, players that really haven't had the huge success in Heart of the Storm. Of course, MVP had a pretty good run in the first season of WCS Europe last year, but
even that is a while ago already.
Yeah.
And then we just have MC as the exception to the rule of everything. But we already knew that MC, the boss stars, is a little special. Either way, we have Nexus first over here on the left top side of the map for Crank, followed up by the Gateway in his base. He also scouted quite low, so it is late. late, so this is quite a greedy and economic opening over here for Crank, but he had faith that NesTea didn't go for an early pull, which is risky, by the way, because NesTea is not Revival, or, you know, NesTea is not a super macro Zerg like Stefano, who just doesn't really cheese early game. I've seen NesTea bust out quite a few early pulls, especially 10 pulls, sometimes 10 pull speed. He is capable of doing it, and he's not afraid to do it. If Crank would do this opening 2 games in a row, I think game 3 you'll see NesTea cheese, if there is a game 3.
You know, that's another important thing to bring up, though, having Crank in this group. He is also one of those players that can bust out a lot of different kind of crazy builds. I immediately think back to his series. I actually think it was versus Bomber, actually, in the round of 16 group stage of WCS America Season 1, where, you know, going for Blink on maps where Blink ought not to be done. He can, and as we're seeing, of course, this game, he's just playing extremely economic.
You know, right now, if I'm Crank, I'm just like, please don't tell me that you open speed. Please don't tell me that you open speed. Please tell me that everything was normal. He, of course, did see the hatchery, and he saw that it was pretty far along. So it's unlikely there was a super quick speed. But there are still ways when you drop a hatchery around that phase in the game, and there can be a bunch of speedlings at like 5:45, and that would be really annoying. There wouldn't be a wall up ready. And it's kind of impossible to scout for Crank, because this is, of course, a 4-player map. So he's just kind of banking on the fact like, alright, I couldn't go into the main base without losing my probe, and I think he even lost the probe over here to the Zerglings. So it's just like, oh, I just hope that nothing crazy has happened. And as we can see, speed wasn't ridiculously quick. It's gonna finish up around, what is that, 6:15. That's actually even kind of late. So Crank dodging a minor bullet over here.
Yeah, and even finishing up his wall, you could say, putting pretty much the last of his tech structures in place there, the forge and the gate. These Zerglings will poke the front. He'll see speed. This, you know, I think if you see this Zergling speed done this fast, maybe Crank thinks, how many Zerglings are you putting up behind this?
Yeah, but like 6:15 is really not that fast. That's super normal. It's actually closer to the late side. Like it's fast in a way of like he did open speed, so I know there is speed. It's not like he delayed his extractors, but considering the fact like of thinking of real speed openings, it's actually kind of late.
Yeah. Well, we have an Oracle on the way for Crank. So there's a little bit of potential to do some damage. I like the map presence that we've seen with NesTea holding the towers. He has an Overlord going into the main base, and they don't think, well, will just one sentry stop it? Is it even heading in the right direction?
It's where is that Stargate?
Back in the main.
I think it's actually going to miss it, especially with that second sentry that started tickling on it as well. Could be a little tricky, but I'd be surprised if we don't see a single spore go down. I mean, NesTea, when you see this little, you have to worry at least a little bit. And most of the things you have to worry about with Protoss, spore crawlers help out a lot against it, pretty much everything.
That's a very good point.
Still no spores at all, and there are only 3 queens on the map as well, and I think one of these queens is quite far out of position. This could be really annoying over here for NesTea, also because there's no creep connecting these bases. I think this Oracle... No. Okay.
Oh, doesn't really get much of anything yet. Now focusing on one drone, but he's already taking hit point damage on this Oracle. I feel like he could have gotten a little bit more for this. But, you know, if you keep it alive, he always has a chance to get something later.
Yeah, I think best case scenario here is he starts fighting that queen immediately. He takes it out with still quite a bit of energy left, and then he takes out 4 or 5 drones, because this other queen wasn't there to help out this queen because there was no creep connecting these bases. But, you know, I think that Crank is still okay with how that went. He's like, cool, I open up with an Oracle. It's still alive. I didn't lose it. I picked up a few drones, you know. It's all good for me.
Yeah. Well, he's putting out quite a few Zerglings in preparation of... You know, do you think he needs to be making this many units actually at the moment? This third base looks locked down really well for Crank. I don't think he just a large number of speedlings will crack this, especially with the Oracle still nearby.
No, I think you make an excellent point there, Nate. I think it's very questionable what NesTea is doing over here. He's on 58 workers, which is really not that much. I mean, mineral-wise, I guess he's okay. Gas-wise, everything is delayed quite a bit. He's opening up with a lot of speedlings, and this is always a little scary if you're Crank. Scary is in a way of like, okay, I should not make any mistakes. But you also know...
This could be nice.
Hold position a couple of times.
I was going to say these speedlings really shouldn't do anything, but actually, no, they didn't kill any probes, I don't think.
It's hard to kill probes like that. Attack move doesn't do the trick, and you need to hold position like multiple times. If they would have had like +1, then doing hold position tricks is a little bit better, and you kill those probes a little quicker. But yeah, as I said, either way, if Crank right now, you're like, okay, cool, make sure I have my units in hold position, I have a good SimCity, check, check. Hey, this is actually quite good. You just wasted so much larva on absolutely nothing. I kind of like where this game is going for me. My Oracle saw that, you know, you didn't have a fully saturated third base by the time I had an Oracle. I picked up a few drones. Now you're also making speedlings. Cool, cool, cool. Everything is going good for me.
Yeah, I agree. I really like Crank's position in this game so far. We have a Spire on the way. This kind of just, at the moment, looks like your very standard 3 base, Roach Hydra, take your 4th, maybe go up to Hive for Vipers, but you keep that Spire in your back pocket in case you want to do something like a Mutalist transition. However, Crank, with 3 base economy, as long as he maintains consistent scouting, I don't think it should be too difficult for him to keep tabs on him. And Revelation on the main base, can he... Where is that Spire? Okay, so does he spot it in the natural? I think he flew by it.
Yeah, he did see the Spire if he clicked on it. I'm not sure if he's aware of it, but he's going to see these units as well. I'm very in the dark right now about what NesTea is doing. I'm actually kind of a little bit lost for words because it's a little bit of everything. He opened up with a bunch of speedlings, but they came in a phase in the game where they were not scary. Now we see the very infamous 4 Hydra hit squad. Like, we know this with Stalkers. It's pretty effective, but that's because Stalkers can blink. NesTea is going to review his 4 Hydras over here. They won't do that much. I think he's saving up for a Muta switch, but at the same time he's still investing a lot in like Hydra and Roach upgrades as well.
It's cool to see Hydra. This doesn't happen terribly
No,
often.
I mean, it is cool, and he picked up a cannon, you know, it could have been worse. Picks up a probe as well.
Oh, 2 Hydras, 3 Hydras already way more than a cannon.
Okay, now we see 10 Corruptors. But like, he doesn't really have a lot of anything else. He has 14 Roaches, 3 Hydras left, he has 20 Zerglings.
You know, there was a hallucinated Colossus earlier, but there's actually no Colossi on the map at all. These Corruptors cannot do anything other than try to chase that, you know, that Warp Prism.
That is a really good point. And drop a lot of corruption.
Drop a lot of corruption.
And maybe kill this Oracle. This is actually this is actually a really good point, Dave. We're gonna have about 10 Corruptors soon. It's lay attack. There's no Great Aspire.
It's 20 supply that really doesn't have much impact. Void Rays are actually being made. I mean, if Crank realized what was going on, I think you could say, I almost don't even need any air units.
It's like the only thing that you don't want to make right now, the Void Ray. So NesTea is maxed out, but half of his army can't actually shoot at anything. This might be a problem.
Little bit. Oracle is still running around checking for additional expansions alongside that Warp Prism, which is now approaching the 3rd base. It pulls back.
Oh, Oracle snipe.
He did get it.
I wonder if Crank cancels his Void Ray. Yeah, he did. He's like, no way, Jose.
It's like, why do you have so many Corruptors, man?
Alright, so NesTea's gonna make his way across the map. Army supply 125 against 91, but once again, 20 of that can't actually really shoot at anything other than maybe a Mothership Core.
Warp Prism drops a few Zealots in the 3rd as it starts to warp into the main base in the midst of all of this. So this is, again, a situation where defend while my harass kills you. And the Rocks are going to get attacked. He's got a couple more hallucinated Colossi. The Corruptors come up. It's like, yeah, I'm going to kill something. No, not really. Void Ray, the Force Fields hold in these Roaches, and he pixels up. He might lose the Mothership Core. No Time Warps get used, so, you know, that kind of sucks. But this army, there's 4 Immortals. These Roaches, they're almost invalid.
This army is so incredibly strong from Crank compared to what NesTea has over here. Half the army of NesTea can't fight. These Roaches are going to die. These Hydras, well, there weren't really very many to start with, are going to die as well. And meanwhile, we have a bunch of slow Zealots ravaging everything at home.
NesTea is in a bit of a pickle, I would say. +3 attack finishing up for Crank. He's marching across the map, and he would love to take the first game in our 2nd series here. I don't think there's too much that NesTea can do to stop this big push, especially since more and more Zealots keep pouring out of this Warp Prism into that main base. And, you know, Roach is okay versus Zealots, but in this situation, it's not enough.
No, it's not going to be enough. We have 26 Roaches, which normally you might say like, hey, that sounds alright, right? But look at Crank, he just wiped in 12 sentries. I think he's gonna just have some fun as well. Maybe he's going to hallucinate a few more Colossus, so these Corruptors. Actually, all the Corruptors have died. This would be really funny if now a bunch of Void Rays would show up. Either way, here come those Immortals. Force Fields will land, and after these Roaches die, I'm pretty sure that NesTea is just going to tap out, as game number 1 is going to be a decisive victory here for Crank. And Nate, this was a small facepalm moment as well. Sometimes, you know, we talk about players not really playing the game or playing as their opponent, but just kind of playing on autopilot mode, or as some people say, like playing like a robot. I think that NesTea played a little bit like a robot over there.
Yeah, that's one of those games you could put in the Protoss highlight reel when you want to see just all the laser beams just blowing everything apart, because that army was no match with so much supply, especially 20 supply of Corruptors, can't do anything. Getting the Mothership Core is nice, but Crank, I almost feel like he doesn't even have much to pick up from that game. Like, no. what do you read from your opponent in that situation?
I would have actually, if this was a LAN event, I would have really loved to see Crank's facial reactions during that game. After he scouts and he sees like 10 Corruptors, he's like, oh, and then like the moment he cancels his Void Ray, he's like, And then he hallucinated a bunch of Colossus as well. I think Crank had a good time. Of course, you know, in all honesty, Crank played very solid over there. Like, I love the way how easy he made that look. He took a third base. He had excellent building placement. Once again, this is something that Todd is talking about a lot lately, that for Protoss players in this day and age of StarCraft, building placement in SimCity is becoming more and more important than ever. It just allows you to get away with so much more greed than you am without proper basement. And, you know, those 20-something links, they could have posed a threat if, you know, Crank wouldn't have had his buildings in the right place, but he had just a few gateway units in the third. He had a nice wall off. He had a wall off in the main. No run-bys were possible. Crank did pretty much everything right, but, you know, for NesTea, that was a little bit of a face-bombing game.
Yeah, I think the best way to describe that, autopilot. Don't want to diss NesTea too much, but
Nah,
that's just one of those times where you go into a game, you're like, okay, I'm just going to play this as if it was standard as possible. And in a super standard game, you would open Stargate, maybe go into Robo, then add your Colossi. Very normal flow. And yeah, Corruptors are an okay response to that setup. But if your opponent doesn't go Colossus and you don't scout that, bad things can happen. Our next map is going to be Overgrowth. And how do you like this for ZVP, Roddy?
It creates a lot of entertaining games. I've been struggling a little bit on it myself. Then again, I struggle on a lot of maps, especially against Zerg. I guess I'm just not very good at this game. I'm becoming too old, Nate. You know,
No.
time is the enemy right now for me.
No.
You know, Bomber often says that he has slow hands, and he's still 4 times as fast as me. So I think I truly am slow by this time in my life. But I think it's a fun map, and I'm really curious to see how NesTea is going to play it, because I think that game one, you know, I think we've said it all. Let's just forget about it. I expect to see a game like that of someone who's doing a 24-hour marathon session. You know, he's like, streaming 24 hours for donations, and then you just play on autopilot, and then I expect someone to make 12 Corruptors when there is nothing for those Corruptors to shoot at. But in a WCS game, you know, scouting, needless to say, is very important in RTS, and NesTea just didn't really do it that last game. He played way too much on autopilot, and I hope that he steps it up in game 2, because of course we all know that NesTea is capable of playing some very high-level StarCraft.
Yes, and we know this guy is in the bottom left of Overgrowth, our red Protoss, representing Axiom Esports. It is none other than Crank, who just kind of didn't build Colossi, had a very powerful gateway army. Makes me think of players like Puck and MC that had lots of gateway units in their armies for PvZ. And his opponent in the top right, of course, it is NesTea. Somewhat questionable decision-making. We saw that fast speed, didn't really do too much with it, but he is going to drone scout this game.
Yeah, NesTea's also a player that has built hatcheries on the other side of the map in the past. I remember he did this 2 games in a row against Jim. Back then it wasn't very successful, as the Chinese Protoss was able to deal with it very efficiently. Suddenly I have hiccups sneaking up on me or something. You know, I do think you made a good point. The way that Crank played, he made it look so easy, but it's actually a pretty fun playstyle where you kind of delay the Colossus and sometimes you go into Blinkstalk or Immortal Storm. It's really cool to do, but it can be hard to survive certain phases in the game. NesTea is indeed going to try to drop the hatchery, but
you know, he saw that it looked like it could have been a Nexus first again, and in a situation like that, you proxy hatch the natural of the Protoss player, like you reset everything that they have to do immediately. I don't even know what a Protoss does in that position.
Yeah, it's really frustrating. It's extremely frustrating. Everything is going to be late. You probably drop a pylon here, and then you start making a forge in your main, and then also a gate right away after this or something. But it is indeed really frustrating. So unfortunate there for NesTea that he wasn't able to execute his little plan. But I really wonder how that style from Crank would have played out if NesTea would have done it right. You know, if he would have macroed the way he should have, and then maybe go for a big Roachling Hydra attack. Maybe later on, Vipers. Ooh, we see a gold-based hatchery over here as well. That's interesting. But you know, anything like a lot of roaches can still be effective, even if there are 3-4 immortals in the mix. Then a bunch of Hydras, links, like good engagement. It can create really entertaining games. So I'm a little bit sad that we didn't see a real game play out, because those Corruptors, they've ruined it for us and they ruined it for themselves, man.
And you know, Crank might actually be on to this gold base soon. This spawning pool timing, I feel like, from
it's a little late.
NesTea. Yeah, exactly. And as a Protoss, like, sure, you'll check the normal third base, but when you don't see a hatchery there's only 2 places that, I mean, if you see how bold NesTea wanted to play this game, either his gold base, or if you're playing versus Cats, your own gold base.
He's going to find it as his own gold. I kind of wonder what Crank is going to do about it. We see this Overlord in the main base from NesTea. We'll see this Cybercore finishing up. So yeah, he should have a reasonable idea of when Crank can start being annoying. There's not too much Chrono Boost energy saved up over here. He has 1 Chrono Boost available, soon to be 2. You know, 4-gate pressure could definitely be very frustrating to deal with. If you micro it properly, we've seen it the other day as well, where Pig Baby and Hawk decide to just wipe in a lot of Zealots. That can be very effective and can be really hard to defend the third base if you're playing gasless like we see that NesTea is doing right now, especially if your third base is so far away from your natural and your main.
Yeah, I think the creep spread also comes into big play with this for defending. Make a very good point. He is adding on a Forge, though. As this Mothership Core comes out, he's been kind of just trickling sentries out, slowly but surely out of his gateway. So this doesn't look like a very aggressive setup at all from Crank. Do you think he doesn't care? He just wants her to play his game, play as straight as he can?
That would be very ballsy. Some Protoss players have the confidence in this matchup to do it. I would definitely be freaking out because I would like the next time you scout, this gold base is going to be saturated and you should know that your opponent is going to be extremely rich. This almost looked like indeed. Okay, we have 2 more gateways going in. Maybe this. No, I actually have no idea. I'm not even going to make any predictions. I'm not sure where Crank's going to take this. Like, obviously he's going to fire up +1 attack soon. Otherwise, his Forge would make absolutely no sense. It's not like he needs a cannon or something. So. There we do see +1 being researched, but what comes after this? I have no idea. Like, he has no pylons on the map. He doesn't really have anything that's good in walking across the map. I think a good old... Now he gets a cannon as well.
Yeah. Like, this setup, if you had a robotics facility, I would think early Sentries, Warp Prism drop, like, you know, something crazy off 2 bases, but without any other tech, I don't... Like, he's not adding on enough gateways for this to even be a 2-base Zealot Sentry attack.
No, it does be soon that he indeed decides to warp in like 4 more gates. That is just a traditional 7-gate +1.
Okay, third base. That makes a little bit more sense without the tech.
Yeah, as I said, so he just doesn't care. Like what you said earlier in this game as well. Is he just going to play this like he doesn't care? Well, apparently he is, which I think is super ballsy because if NesTea gets a macro hatchery as well, he is going to produce a ridiculous amount of... what happened over here? Like fake Oracle scared the hell out of NesTea apparently. All of the drones were running away for his life. But NesTea is going to have so many minerals to his disposal. He's going to be able to produce an absolute ridiculous amount of Zerglings and Roaches. And then I think it's going to be quite tough for Crank to defend it. You know, with very good force fields, and again, good Sim City and maybe a time warp at the right place. He's getting 4 additional gates as well. It is possible, but this should be very hard. And if I was NesTea, I would really be getting a macro hatch because normally if you have 3 bases saturated, he only has 9 drones in this base though, but if okay, he's doing this with 47 drones, but I guess that's okay because of this gold base. Taking a look at the income tab, yeah, he's earning more than enough.
Yeah, he's very heavily saturated that gold. And we talked about on the last map, a lot of Zerglings. There was a very good defensive position in that 3rd base, but it is much more wide open on this map. That cannon is tucked in. It's tucked in nice. You got the Mothership Core that can see everything. He has a good amount of those force fields. There we see, trying to peel off a few Zerglings. Good. Does not manage to lock any of those Zerg units in. Yeah. And I think this could be a good opportunity. Just break the cannon with the Roaches and pick off that Nexus.
NesTea did it on purpose. I really think that NesTea is old and slick enough to do that on purpose. He forced out those defensive force fields. Then he's like, cool, that means that I can pick up your 3rd base. He has to make sure that he doesn't lose everything for nothing though, because the Nexus in the end of the day is just 400 minerals. And if you throw away like 2,000 minerals trying to kill it, and you kill no additional units, but most of these units, they don't have that much DPS in the army of Crank. Yeah, sure, there are a lot of force fields available, but sentries alone do not really kill Roaches. We've seen that time and time again in the past. This was a successful attack for NesTea. The way that he baited out these defensive force fields, that was excellent. That bought him the time to snipe that Nexus without losing too much, and he even got away with the majority of his units. Much better play by NesTea already in game number 2 here on Overgrowth.
Yeah, really, really showing a little bit more, you know, the old NesTea we are looking for. And I really like this, just how mobile these forces are when Zerg players, because a lot of players, you know, you look at players like Hyun, you see a lot of Roach Hydra, or lots of the time really fast hives for things like Vipers, sometimes a bit of Swarm Host play, but this Roach Ling, honestly, doesn't really... I mean, do you see this as often as other strategies these days?
But it has everything to do with how the way that this game has played out, and of course because of the gold base, it gives him extra resources to work with. He's going to find these 2 gateways over here as well, realizing that Crank most likely is not going to try to just defend anymore and sit back. So Crank is just going to attack. How many gateways is he working on right now? 7. So this is still like a super pseudo 7-gate +1 attack over here with a ridiculous amount of force fields available, but no Immortals in the mix. So Roaches are scary, and every second that goes by, means a few additional roaches for NesTea. NesTea just needs a good engagement, and he needs to buy time for himself.
Force fields lock off the roaches up top. Time warp on the Zerglings. They trickle through. Zerglings running in from the back are going to pick off one of the pylons powering the reinforcements, but the pylon finishes at the army, and I feel like Crank has done a solid job of fighting parts of the army at a time. He's kept a lot of this Gateway Force alive. Supply is still close enough that Crank can break him, but will he be able to? The Spine Crawlers are finishing up on the right side, 3, almost 4, and there's so much damage output from those, but will the next wave of reinforcements be enough for Crank to break this gold base?
There are a lot of Spine Crawlers over here as well. I think this is going to be very tough for Crank. Time is not Crank's friend right now, even though he has money, so he's going to wipe in a lot of units. But soon, Roach Speed is going to finish up, and above all, Burrow as well. There is no detection. There is not going to be detection unless he somehow wipes in offensive cannons, and I can actually see him do that because I think that would be smart. But the Roach count, I think, is going to go balling out of control real soon. It's going to be very hard for Crank to pull this one off.
Picks off the Queen at the natural third base, but look at this Roach counterattack breaking through into the natural. Force field misses, and he could just pick the pylons off if he wanted. He's going to split between both mineral lines, and that might be it for Crank. He's just going to go everything towards the natural of NesTea. Drones are trying to escape from the natural while the main Nexus gets pummeled by these roaches. He does force field the drones in, but he could always run them away from his gold base. He's adding on more and more Spine Crawlers. Whoa, I mean... the rodeo has begun.
Yeah, Crank is going to try to drop a Nexus on the left top side of the map. He doesn't cancel his Nexus. That's really painful because money is everything right now. He just barely has enough money to drop one more Nexus. Does he still have a probe?
He has no more probes.
Oh, he lost all of his probes. So that means from this point on, Crank is never ever going to be able to get a base again. He just won't get a base anymore that's up and running unless he somehow stays this Nexus, but that's not going to work either. No more probes, no more Nexi means basically the end of Crank.
Yep, and there are still 16 drones on the map that he can use to either put an extractor somewhere.
And he has Burrow.
Yeah, and he has Burrow. So he basically says, with no detection on the map for Crank, he just burrows his roaches. He could actually, theoretically, over a long enough period of time, just pick off individual units and regenerate his health.
Yep, yeah, a miracle has to happen for NesTea to lose this game. I wasn't sure about the counterattack, but it turned out to be the right choice. GG is called. Crank knows that he's not going to win this game. And NesTea evens up the series after winning an Overgrowth in a much better game from him.
Yeah, definitely much better play from NesTea, and it was really cool to see. You had mentioned at the beginning of the last game how if Crank continues to do this style of build, it's something that NesTea can really punish by getting extra aggressive with it, like he wanted to do with that proxy hatchery, or just taking his own gold base super fast. He found a way to punish Crank for playing his straight up greedy style, and I think that worked out super well for him.
Yeah, the highlight of this game was, without a shadow of a doubt, I think NesTea forcing or like pretending like he actually wants to attack the natural, and Crank drops those defensive force fields where normally it would have been good force fields, but not if you can save your third base on the right side. That was very well done by NesTea. Just shows that, you know, even though he might be a little rusty and he might be a little shaken up, like if we just go back, maybe we could even forward a little bit further. I'm not sure if that's possible, but this was very well done here by NesTea. Crank dropped those force fields, which once again normally would have been good. But in this moment, Crank just had Crank had no more time to save this Nexus.
Yeah.
NesTea takes out this Nexus, and he even gets away with the majority of his forces.
And I think in a situation like this, you saw that he also used that photon overcharge on the Nexus. If he saves the energy for a time warp, maybe he can kill some of those units that are trying to escape. You know, there's so many different little things that can happen. I personally would love to see if we had some sort of proxy hatchery shenanigans. I always love to see those myself in ZVP, but that's also because I'm not the Protoss in those situations.
It all depends on how the Protoss opens about how annoying it is going to be or not. Either way, our final map is going to be played on Merry-Go-Round. That could be fun. I don't see too many ZVPs in general. This is a map that's relatively new to our map pool, but also gets vetoed pretty often. So I'm curious to see what we will see on this map. I think Crank is going to play this much more solid. Even though game one, you know, it wasn't anything crazy. It was just this one moment where he drops his force field, he loses that base, and suddenly he's forced to play a completely different game. He's probably like, man, I really didn't want to go for like some 7-8 gate attack with +1, especially not like a minute or two later than it could normally hit. But after losing that base, I feel like maybe this is my best choice. He did have a ridiculous amount of sentries, so he had a lot of force fields, but NesTea handled it really well. He bought time, he forced out a lot of early force fields, and he waited. He knew that the moment he would get Burrow and he would get Roach Speed, that this game was his.
Yeah, he did an absolutely fantastic job of controlling the momentum of the game from the very beginning phase where he wanted to put that proxy hatchery to where he just took his own fast gold. And at that point, Crank, we saw that he wanted to play, as you said, probably more close to the standard style that we saw him bring out on Frost. But NesTea was always in control of the direction that that game was headed. And that's one of the ways that you can try to beat a Protoss player. You don't let them get comfortable and reach whatever army they would like to have. And because of that, he's managed to tie the series up. So you said merry-go-round for the final map of this series. And at the beginning of this series, when we got closer to the end of game one, I'm thinking, Crank really shouldn't be able to lose this. But NesTea, I think, completely changed my mind with that second map.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. After game one, I thought, okay, there's just no way in hell NesTea's going to win this series. I was already getting mentally ready for Crank versus Bomber, but now maybe. And now I just suddenly realized, like, imagine if NesTea wins this series, then we are going back Wings of Liberty 2010. Bomber versus NesTea, like what? Which year is this?
What year is it?
That would be ridiculous. Either way, we'll see. We're almost ready to jump into our third game of the second series of today. There is much more StarCraft coming up. Of course, we'd love to hear from you guys. Use the hashtag WCS. We always go through the tweets, and we'd love to hear what you guys think about the show, and what you guys think about the games, and what you would love to see. And it's right, Nathaniel's TV.
Yeah, it's good.
Are you
it's
a TV,
good,
Nate?
Rotterdam 08.
Why are you a TV on Twitter, Nate?
It's actually, so there's another person with the name Natanya whose last name is S, and that's where Nathanius is on Twitter.
Oh,
yeah.
Did you try to get it back? Did you tweet
I
at
did.
That person?
It was an effort in failure.
Is he or she still using that account?
They've got like 8 followers. I think it's a bot account. I just got like roasted. Twitter, like, nope. No luck there. We're loaded in, though, guys. It's time to see who is going to go on to the winner's match to play versus Bomber. Spawning in the top right position of merry-go-round, we have the red Protoss player from Team Axiom. It is Crank. Busting out his gateway-heavy army compositions all day long up against our Zerg player in the blue trunks up top left. It is NesTea. One of the longest-standing Zerg players in the StarCraft 2 scene, by far.
Definitely. Even though he's not as impressive as he was once upon a time ago, it is still really sick to just see him every season he's here in Premier League. In WCS America Premier League Season 1 of 2013, he made it pretty far. He made it to the run of 16. And even, I believe it was Season 2, he made it to the run of 16 again. Or that was Season 3. But right now, it feels like it's been a while. He got so close to losing in Challenger, and now suddenly we're just one map win away from NesTea making it into the winners match of this group. And that would still be impressive, even though, of course, his resume, you would expect him, like, if you just go over results, like, hey, NesTea should be on top of everything. And it's not really that day and age anymore, but it would definitely be a magical story if NesTea goes very far and, maybe surprises us all. Takes home WCS America Premier League Season 2.
That'd be pretty crazy. I gotta ask you this game though, Roddy. So we're seeing for the first time out of Crank something other than this super fast Nexus. It's a gateway opening, potentially for a gateway expand. How do you like it on this map? Do you think there's a reason he chose it for merry-go-round?
Yeah, first of all, this is very safe. Like, going Nexus first into a gate in your main could be a little bit risky as well. This is just the safest Protoss opening there is right now. You're not going to die against anything. Some builds can definitely be annoying to deal with, but some early game cheese, especially with low speed links, but you should be fine regardless. NesTea on the other end is playing this. Wow, he's actually going to go double. Oh, he's expanding towards Crank as well. Now I really feel with these spawning locations that we have on a map like this, if you take a look at the rush distance from Crank is natural, just over here to the left side. I can actually scroll that far, but that's not very far. You run up this plateau, and then you start getting a couple of pylons, then you can start going down over here. I would be very surprised if Crank just lets this go and tries to get 3 bases on his own, because let's be honest, like, this can be an annoying Zerg map because of these force fields around the Protoss base, like these air force fields as I like to call them, just this one. So it makes it very hard for Zerg to scout what exactly is going on. But if your economy is this good, and if Protoss is going to try to take a late third base, it could be very hard, because this is of course a very wide open area.
Yeah.
So
I'm really interested to see where this probe scout goes, because at the moment it looks like it will head towards the left side, and if you go all the way to the bottom, if you don't see this super early on, then maybe NesTea can get away with it a bit more easily. Because another point to bring up is the creep spread distance is going to be a little ways to go to that third base as well, but the probe will find NesTea quickly. There aren't any Zerglings on the map, though. He hasn't made any, so this probe should have an opportunity to check the third base.
There is speed being researched as well, so despite it being a super economical opening, it is not that greedy that he's also going to try to defend this gasless style. So with quick speed on the way, it's going to be a little bit harder for Crank if he wants to do something, but you know, anything with +1 could still be very effective, or anything with still a lot of gateway units, or even just a good old Immortal Sentry. And we do see this robo being wiped in as well. Now this is a 5 minutes and 10-second robotics facility. It is possible that maybe we see Immortal Zealot. I'm not saying that we will see it, because it could also just be Immortal Sentry, but I think Immortal Zealot is a possibility.
Yeah, I you know, this is it reminds me of a build that I remember like Naniwa doing a lot of in the earlier phases of Heart of the Swarm. Usually it was only off of one assimilator though, and you went pure Zealots and all your gas went straight into Immortals. But he's gonna squeeze out at least 1, maybe 2 sentries. How do you like this build on this map? So he obviously is aware of everything that NesTea is up to, but he didn't actually see where the third base was taken.
No, he didn't. So actually, I'm not even sure if he's 100% sure, because he didn't even see creep.
Yeah, this is definitely
I'm a little bit
interesting.
It is hard for me to say if he is 100% sure or not. I am not exactly sure. Taking a look at these simulators, he has pulled probes though of at least one of them. First Immortal's on the way. He has enough gas right now for a second Immortal. Maybe just one more Immortal. If this Overseer, or Overlord, sorry, sees this assimilator, and it does see it as well, NesTea should definitely be clicking on this and be like, hey, or at least looking at it. It's like, you're not mining gas anymore. You're gonna go hard on this, aren't you? He's dropping Spore Crawlers, which I'm a little bit surprised by. They're not completely useless, because Spore Crawlers can still be really annoying if you move them forward and maybe start shooting at a Warp Prism, which I definitely think we are going to see. Either way, this is fun, Nate.
Yeah, he doesn't know about the robotics facility or that Immortal, so almost anything could happen at this point, because if he just goes Roaches to defend a pure gateway attack, it's like, okay, well, obviously, you know, maybe a lot of Zealots are going to come in from here. Roaches are good versus those, but no, I'll just backhand you with some Immortals. 2 Immortals. Warp Prism is on the way. He's moving straight up to, what is this, 6 gateways, 7 gateways already, very, very early on in this game.
This is basically just like...
It's gonna be crazy.
Crank is telling us right now, he's like, hey, I watched the GSL 2 and I saw it was Pro League, I have no idea where the game was played, but Parting just did this the other week with absolute... No, okay, he leaves 1 sentry behind. I guess that's the gatekeeper of this.
That's the insurance policy.
Yeah, this is the insurance policy over here. But like, he's just saying like, hey, I saw Parting being pretty fancy with a bunch of Immortals. I think I can do this as well. One Zealot almost gets surrounded here. But NesTea started making units very, very early on. He did this only of 42 drones. So he should have enough units in position soon. Like, he's already repositioning, I think, one of these Spore Crawlers, which I think is smart. They soak up damage and can maybe shoot down this Warp Prism. It's all gonna come down to Micro, and of course, above all, Crank has to make damn sure that he doesn't lose these Immortals. These 2 Immortals right now are game changers. They either win or they die.
Yep, the Zerglings are trying to hit the back and attack them now, these Immortals. I like that Crank takes some focus fires these Roaches. The Spinecrawler gets eliminated very quickly. Time Warp to hold some of these Roaches in place. The Immortals, both of them still have all of their shields, just hacking away with these Zealots up front as cannon fodder. Sporecrawler is actually hitting this Warp Prism. Might want to focus that down. He forces it to pull out, so his reinforcements might be a bit delayed, his next wave at least. Immortals, though, still full health. He'd gladly take this third base if the Roaches retreat too far. Zerglings are going to try to get on top of him. He's picked almost all the shields off one of them, but Crank's staying alive.
There is Burrow though, and there is no Observer in this mix, so that is a little bit frustrating for Crank, but it's looking pretty dicey right now for NesTea. He just doesn't have the units. He needs way more Roaches than he currently has. I really think he got a bit unfortunate with expanding over here towards Crank, because if it would have been over here on the south side, then it could have been we could have been looking at a different game. Then maybe Crank wouldn't have gone for this build either. I have no idea, but this is just really hard to hold. Crank is doing this well. He's warping in so many Zealots, and NesTea just never really had the units out that he needed to stop a push like this.
Cool attack from Crank, fantastic execution of it, and as you said, a little bit of bad luck for NesTea with where he took that blind third expansion, as Crank is rolling up. He wants to go to the winner's match and face off against Bomber. Can he do it? Those Immortals being drop micro through this Warp Prism. The next wave of Zerglings and Roaches are here. Queen's not able to get that Warp Prism, and GG comes out. Crank will advance to the winner's match here at our WCS America Premier League round of 32.
Yeah, well done there by Crank. Pretty clean execution. He made it look easy, and it's never easy to defeat a Zerg like NesTea, but yeah, I think NesTea got a little bit unfortunate with where he took that hatchery, and he just never really had the right amount of units out to stop a push like that. I must say that was a really good time warp, and I know that the non-Protoss players really get angry when like a Protoss guest like myself says a good time warp, and they're like it's hard to drop a time warp, but that was actually a really frustrating time warp to slow down all the reinforcements. Also, the reinforcements that came from the natural went through it as well, and it also allowed these zealots to stand on top of those roaches, and those immortals got a couple of extra shots off. So he couldn't have placed that time weapon in a better location than he did.
No,
Let's say it like
that was flawless execution. It's one of those situations where if the roaches or those zerglings that he sends around the side, if they actually pick off the shields, if they kill one of those immortals, just one, you lose so much of the firepower because you don't have the gas income to actually produce any more immortals. He barely got out that observer, and that even didn't make it in there by the time the game was over. So just really good control. And I got to say again, like you pointed out, that third base position made it all too easy for Crank to execute that attack.
Yeah, this hit so early as well, and you know, NesTea, it's not like he overdrone, because like sometimes we see like, oh, the Zerg went up to 55 drones on a map like this, how could he do it? But he started making roaches and Zerglings when he was on like 42 or 43 drones, but he still never really had enough units. It's just the rush distance so incredibly close, and this attack is one of the quickest two-base Protoss attacks that is possibly going to hit, because there's almost no gas in this attack. There was like a robotics facility, 2 immortals, and from this point on, it's zealots and zealots only all day, every day. I like the little insurance sentry as well. That was cute.
Yeah,
he did his job.
Watching his back home in case there was any counterattack harass. So that, of course, means that Crank is going to go to play Bomber in the winners match. NesTea will fall to play against Masa in the lower match, and we've got quite a few more games of StarCraft to go here, right?
Yeah, we got 3 more series ahead of us, but of course, next up is the winners match, like Nate just said. Crank versus Bomber, which I was actually looking up, but I believe that's a rematch of WCS Season 1 America, right?
Yeah,
they were in the same group in the round of 16 with
that was a pretty intense series. That's where you saw the blink on habitation stage. Like, no, he won't go blinking. Well, he did. We'll have to see what he
Todd's
does
face
next.
was so funny when he pulled off blink on habitation station.
Yeah.
Le Todd is like, no one can describe a game like that as Le Todd. He's like, whoa, he's going blink on habitation. Like, why would you do that? Either way, it was really fun. It was a good series, and right now, Crank has a chance to redeem himself, perhaps, because even though he won habitation, I think he lost the series back then against Bomber. But we'll go over those facts, and we'll be right back after this small commercial break with some PvT action.